All right. Now, this is one of the most disappointing losses previously. 27-10. Eagles was held scoreless in the first quarter, held scoreless probably in the third quarter, and I don't think the Eagles scored them 10 points until the fourth quarter. I could be wrong, but state me if I am. Um, this 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 team is they lost it. This team has lost it, and I don't know what else I can say. Week 17 loss, New York Giants, 27-10. That's something I can't get over. This game was so pathetic in the first quarter that I didn't watch no more of this game at all. I mean, I was completely blown away. The Eagles had this game lost 24-0 going to halftime. Halftime. 24 points down. They let the Giants put up three touchdown scores in the first half. Now, all this motivation and anger and frustration that the team talked about that they were under, we didn't see it on the field. We didn't see no anger, no frustration on the field. We didn't see none of that. And you say you're angry. You say you're pissed off. If you're pissed off, show it on the field. None of that was showed on the field today. None of it. And they had everybody hyped all week about how angry they was, how pathetic they felt the way they played. And then, and to top it all off, when they was nominated for the Pro Bowl, they show all the pictures of the players. None of them didn't smile or nothing. So we thought, okay, maybe this might have gotten into them a little bit. Maybe they might have got something may have clicked off in their head. Maybe a bell or a clock, something. None of that was clocked in their head apparently because it did not show on the football field today in MetLife Stadium. They walked in there shameful, sad, pathetic. I mean, I'm actually glad this season came to an end. I'm actually glad it did because we can go all the way back to week 1 against the New England Patriots. First win of the season, but they got beat up by the New England Patriots defense because the blueprint was laid out of how to beat the Eagles offense. And reason being is because when you blow up on the scene in the year that you went to the Super Bowl to lose the game by 38-34 or 38-35, to come back into the new season, week 1, we're over season now, but I'm going to say into this season just passed, 2023 season now out the door, it's washed. Coming into this season, you would think that new plays would be added to this offense. You would think that new philosophies on defense would have been added when you brought in Sean Desai, who supposed to be the disciple of Vic Fangio. That defensive scheme doesn't fit here, but we'll get to defense later. um with all this new ions I'm gonna say ions, the new ions of offense that's supposed to be added into this new philosophy that the Eagles were thought that they were going to bring this season, wound up being nothing. Because see, week in and week out, we've been hearing the same old things by Nick Sirianni, the same old things about all the players on this team. We gotta get better. We will be better. Mistakes are made. We got to correct the mistakes. Look at film. Yada 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 yada. We've been hearing that all season, and yet you still do the same thing. Week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, week 6, week 7, week 8, or week 7. If the game against the New York Giants that you lost, a game you're supposed to have won. Then week 8, you play the Miami Dolphins and beat the pants off them physically. That's when we all start to think that there's a change of philosophy on defense, a change of philosophy on offense. Then you wind up playing Dallas Cowboys. In week 9, or week 8, beat the Cowboys in week 8, or week 8. Hold on, I'm right. Week 4, week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, week 9, you played the Dallas Cowboys and almost lost that game in Philadelphia, 28-24. Barely lost that football game, barely, because the quarterback Prescott tossed the ball to CeeDee Lamb over the 5-yard line, only to get tackled 3 yards shy of the end zone for the victory. That right there should have told us right there that this Eagles offense and defense has not changed at all, because the blueprint was laid in week 1. It was laid in week 1. The blueprint was laid in week 1. And teams played differently on defense the rest of the season up to the bye week. And now the bye week now, when the Eagles beat the Cowboys to go into that bye week, the words of the day was, we're going to go into the bye week, fix the offense, fix the defense, and find ways to win games. That's what their motto. We had some players hurt as well, but some of them players came back while some were still out, or some injuries were more serious than others in the bye week. So then we wound up coming out of the bye week to play the Kansas City Chiefs. Went into Kansas City, barely won that game, 21-17. And then after the Kansas City Chiefs game, we played the Buffalo Bills. Now, the Buffalo Bills came into Philadelphia. They came to Philadelphia on a hot streak. They fired their former offensive coordinator and went with Joe Brady as their offensive coordinator. And Joe Brady, the last 3 games before we played them, they were on a hot streak, on a winning streak. They came in there and fully exposed this Eagles defense. They really did. Josh Allen running all over the place. They couldn't stop their running game. Ball still being tossed over the middle toward the tight end or the wide receiver on the zone stretch plays over the middle of the field for first downs. only to come back into overtime. Wound up being 31-31 overtime. Won that game 36-31. I think that's what it was. On a Jalen Hurts 20-yard sprint. Then the next game, San Francisco 49ers. They came into Philadelphia, and I've seen the video where they were wearing all black. All black. This team came for not only for revenge, but to avenge their loss in the playoffs. They came in there wearing all black. The 49ers are also on a winning streak. I think they were on a 2-game winning streak, I believe. Might have been 2 games, might have been 4 or 5 games, not exactly sure what the winning streak was. But they had a winning streak when they came to Philadelphia. And the Eagles had a winning streak too of 3 or 4 wins. Eagles had a 4-game winning streak. They had like a 4 or 5-game winning streak. The Eagles did real well in the first half of that game. First quarter. Second, third, fourth quarter, they spanked us. Completely spanked us. 40. I forgot what the score point was, but they put up a 40+ burger on us. And Debo run all over the place. McCaffrey run all over the place. Defense couldn't get no pressure in the second, third, and fourth quarter. 49ers completely exposed us. And that marked the stretch of losses. Wound up playing the Dallas Cowboys in Dallas. They put up a 30 burger on us. 33-13. I remember that game. 33-13. Or somewhere along up in there. I know with 33 points. I know how much they scored. And we scored somewhere in the teens. I could be wrong on the score, but I think I am right. I think it's 13 points. I think that's what we scored. Somewhere along up in there. I could be wrong, but if I am, please correct me in the comment section below. Then from the Dallas game, the Seahawks game. A game we were supposed to have won. They let a backup quarterback throw a 90-some yard bomb into the end zone over Bradbury for the victory points 20-17. We had the Seattle Seahawks 17-7 going to halftime. We had the lead and lost that lead just like they could. They scored another point in the third and fourth quarter. And Seattle battle back. And from that game, what was it? The New York Giants, I believe. Played the New York Giants. I think that's what it was. The New York Giants. We won that game. We barely won that game. 33-25 or 30-25, someone up in there. Then played the Cardinals. And lost to the Cardinals in Philadelphia. I forgot what the score was on that one, but they came in and they beat us pretty badly. Jonathan Gannon got his revenge. All the naysays that were being talked about him, he got his payback. He really did. And Jonathan Gannon did real well with the defense. He came in there blitzing. I mean, the defense that he was doing in Arizona, the defense he should have did in Philadelphia. And it makes us wonder why he didn't blitz in Philadelphia. We'll talk about that later as well, because something going on in his organization is all these things is happening. Only to play the last and final game against New York Giants, and they spanked us. 27-10. And that's where it all in a nutshell comes. I might have missed some games, but I think I did get all the games named and up until that point. But man, 10-1 was a good first half of the season. 10-1 was the first good half of the season. The other 6 games really don't matter, because when you have a team that has no emotion, no heart, no blood, no sweat, no tears, and no physicality to play up to your potential, all the talent that you have on this team, and you refuse to not play like you want to play on the field. This is what I've been sensing after the 49ers game. They got completely demolished by the 49ers. And to go and to lose 5 of 6 games says a whole lot for this team. We had a chance to rub up the number 2 seed. We lost that. The NFC East, we lost that. The number 1 seed, Ben lost that. And the worst thing about it is this coaching staff. The coaching staff do not know how to prepare players to play. They don't know how to do it. This is a young coaching staff. They don't know how to play or prepare players for victories or for effort of a loss. They don't know. And I'm so glad this season has ended, because this coaching staff needs a makeover. Us Eagles fans have been hoping for the firing of Brian Johnson, which might come to some conclusion when this off season comes. Because I'm gonna say this: if the Eagles don't go into the playoffs and beat Tampa Bay, there's gonna be a long off season of unpreparedness, because something needs to change offensively, and something needs to change defensively. And to make matters worse, we got 3 or 4 players: Kelsey, Johnson, Cox, and BG. Those 4 guys might not be back after this season, because they had high hopes of going deep into the playoffs to get back to the Super Bowl to win a second ring. That won't be happening. And it's probably not going to happen no time soon, because, see, until this organization, now which one I'm on, this organization decide to bring in coaches that know how to coach and know how to prepare, knows how to adjust, and knows how to teach and educate these young players how to win, how to motivate them on the field, we ain't gonna get nowhere as long as we got these coaches on the staff. I don't see none of that happening, because if you look at all the teams in the league, all the teams that we have played, they got coaches that does all what I just said that our coaches don't have. And then you look at Nick Sirianni with all this cheerleading on the sideline, bouncing his head, all that is uncalled for. Sometimes you do things that can nip you in the bud. And these 4 or 5 games that we won and lost, the 4 or 5 games that we won and lost, like I said, the 4 or 5 games that we won and lost, just goes to show you can't show your ass too quickly. And this is what Nick has done. He showed his butt early and often. All this yelling about the Chiefs fans, see ya. Sometimes words can come back and bite you. It can. And this is what happened. This is what happened. And we just got completely exposed. Now, let me get to the defense. You got Jordan Davis. You got Carter. You got Sweat. You got BG. You got Williams. That's your 5 defensive front right there. Those guys were doing good early in the season. Real good early in the season. But when your back end can't hold water, there will not be no pressure from the front, because teams are going to block you enough to help the quarterback to complete, gain the field, and get the ball out of his hands. And this is what happened from after the bye week. Well, actually before the bye week. Actually, it happened it happened in the New York Jets game. New York Jets game, the game that we lost, supposed to have won. It started right there. The New York Jets blocked the Eagles' front 4. They couldn't get pressure on Zach, on Zach, whatever his name is, for nothing. They couldn't get no pressure on that boy at all for nothing. The Jets laid the foundation of how to block the Eagles' front 4. It started right there and worked its way all the way down. Reason why the Miami Dolphins couldn't hold water with their offensive line, because they want you to get beat up like that. But skip the Miami Dolphins game and skip the Dallas Cowboys. Actually, Dallas Cowboys game the same way. The Eagles could not get much pressure on Dak Prescott, which goes back to the New York Jets game. Even though we won that game by a thin margin of points, then it continued into the next week, Kansas City. They couldn't get pressure with their front in Kansas City. They barely got to them. Now, Buffalo Bills. They couldn't get pressure on Josh Davis. I mean, on Josh, what's his name? Josh Allen. They couldn't get pressure on Josh Allen. And I think they got Allen twice in that game. But overall, that whole game, they couldn't get no pressure on him. A la the 49ers game. They got to Brock Purdy once. And that was in the first quarter. The rest of the game, couldn't get him. Seattle game. Couldn't get to him at all. They didn't sack that boy at all. You hear me? They knocked him down, but didn't sack him. New York Giants game. Couldn't get no pressure on them. Because Tyrod Taylor almost beat us in that game. The Cardinals game. They didn't get to that boy. They didn't get to Kyler Murray at all. I mean, they did not get to Kyler Murray at all. They knocked him down, but didn't sack him. This game against New York Giants. Same thing. No pressure, no sacks, nothing. So you still think that that's a question with the defensive front 5? No. It's the linebackers and it's the DBs. We've had different DBs in and out of the defense all year long. Bradbury, his agent beginning to show. I expect him to either take a pay cut or get the fuck out of Philadelphia when 2024 season begins. Avonte Maddox. What more can you say? This is a guy who has been hurt not only once but twice this whole season again. After signing a big contract 3 years ago. Bradley Roby, some guy that got off the streets, did well up to the ending part of the season. Slay, Big Play Slay, aka Darius. He did okay. The later part of the season, he had started to show that he still got just a little bit left. But we've had players in after the entire defensive back unit this season. Linebacker, same way. Zach Cunningham came back, got hurt again. Nick Morrow. Now, you know what? I am so sick and tired of people talking about Nick Morrow. It's bothering me. Y'all got to understand, Nick Morrow is not a zone coverage linebacker. He is a downhill linebacker. If you got to remember the beginning part of the season, he was making tackles and sacks running downhill. He is not a zone coverage linebacker. When the Eagles put that boy in zone coverage in the starting with the New York Giants, the New York Jets game all the way up into the 49ers game, he cannot tackle in space. That is not his forte. He is not a tackling space linebacker. He only can tackle he can tackle making going downhill. He made downhill tackles. He cannot make tackles going left. He can't make them going right. That is not his forte. That's one of the reasons why he's been exposed all season long. Now, I've already spoken about the defensive line. I'm going to say that. The offensive line. You know what? This is still the top unit in the NFL as far as protection goes. But when teams send blitzes, and New York Giants blitzed all game long against the Eagles, the Eagles couldn't block all those guys. It was two or three. It would at least two guys in Jalen Hurts' face all game long. Hurts didn't have no breathing room. So I'm simply thinking maybe the Eagles might have to go mass protection. I don't think they did. I don't think the Eagles went mass protection in the game at all. Like I said, I didn't watch the second half. I only watched the first half. Or the first half disappointed me after being down 24 points. I was disappointed then, so I ain't seen no more of that game after that because the Eagles didn't score none in the first quarter at all. First quarter or second quarter, they didn't score none of that at all. So I didn't watch no more of that game because I was tired of watching it because they were getting beat up. Going up and down the field, Giants throwing long bombs. Tyrod Taylor throwing long bombs over the middle of the field. Guys getting wide open. There's no scheme to cover the wide receivers coming out the breaks. They could some of the in routes, out routes, over the middle routes. The Eagles had no scheme to cover these guys. None. I'm not exactly sure how many yards Tyrod Taylor threw, but I'm willing to bet over 20 yards, and I'm willing to bet one of the receiving got over 80 yards receiving. I'm willing to bet, and then the tight end Weller had 4 or 5 catches over the middle, and I think he even scored a touchdown as well, I believe, if I'm not correct. So this is the battle of a terrible team that's in shambles, that is about to erupt. I'm surprised there were no fists thrown on the sideline this season. I made a video back here a while back. I was saying that it wouldn't surprise me none if the Eagles players got into a fight. And so far, I haven't seen no fights, but I have seen some disgruntled, some disgruntlement. I have seen some anger and frustration on this team. And AJ said it wasn't the he said it wasn't the coach, it was the players. Now, if that is true, that means that there's some guys on this team that's not doing their jobs the way they should be doing it. So it might not be the coaches, it could be the players. And that's why I believe it's going to be a change up when this season comes to an end. Well, season already come to an end now. We're now in a new season, which is the playoffs. If the Eagles if the Eagles get exited by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which is possible because Todd Bowles is also he's not a Jim Johnson disciple, but he is a defensive mastermind, and the Eagles are going to face a way much better defensive mastermind now, because when the Eagles played Tampa Bay this season that passed and won that game 25 to 11 in that game, Todd Bowles was still bringing pressure in Hurts' face. But now this could be a whole different ballgame, because see, if AJ can't play, and he did hurt himself in the first quarter, the first half of this loss, he hurt himself. If AJ can't play, and then you got Devonta Smith that can't play, on the person you got is Dallas Goedert, and team gonna roll their coverage to Dallas Goedert, and now Hurts gonna have to be forced to find some other way to get rid of the football. You can't run because they're gonna clog the middle of all the lanes. Linebacker gonna be up in your face. We're talking about 6 and 7 down linemen that's gonna bring pressure all game long. And if you can't get the ball out of your hands like that, two things will happen. Three things are gonna happen. Three things. You're either gonna get hurt, you're gonna get sacked, or you're gonna throw an interception that can go back as far as a pick six. So many things can happen. And then you're not running the ball well. Tampa Bay knows you can't run the ball effectively. They know this. So they're going to say, that's going to be one of the reasons why you're going to see 6 and 7 down line, because they're going to bring run blitzes and passing blitzes. Todd Bowles is a very good defensive coordinator, one of the best in the game. In the playoffs because of him. His players are healthy. We don't went out. We are bummed out on offense as far as AJ and Devonta. Who are we to know if they're going to come back in this